TV, it reverts back to the 1930s as far as the NFL goes. It's absolutely ridiculous how bad and archaic the Broncos are on TV. They go up 10-0 last night, and boom, it's oh, here we go. And he hits Dolchik, the tight end with the touchdown. We're live, by the way, John. You look good. Grand Piano looks good. I don't know where Daly is. He's probably in a plane somewhere, hogging the bathroom up, but he'll jump in a little bit later. But we're live on Daily Fish. There's the hard line. John Hardison, that handsome devil. Man, look at that. That Ernie Shaver's head just turns me on. The Broncos. Now, I'm rooting for the Broncos last night because if they beat the Chargers, then the Raiders are only a game and a half out, being 1-4 of a wild card. I've never seen parity so much in the NFL. I'll start off my NFL takes and you go with yours. So in the NFC, there's 4 teams with the winning record. The whole NFC East besides the Commanders and the Minnesota Vikings. All right, it's crazy. The New York teams, Buffalo, New Jersey, Jets and Giants are crazy. It's nuts over there. Another trend I saw that I'm really, really excited about is the fact that the backup quarterbacks really came to fruition. I mean, Cooper Rush went 4-1. What Bailey Zappe's doing right now in New England, with Joe Judge running that offense, is insane. And Belichick hasn't committed back to Mac Jones. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
John,
we're doing the bathroom, occupying the lavatory. I'm doing my NFL trends right now. Hi, John Daly. And then we'll go to you guys.
Sorry, it's a little late.
Who cares? No one's watching. Anyways, so I'm talking about my second trend. I talked about the NFC East, how great it is, and the NFC only has 4 winning teams. Bailey Zappe, Belichick is not committed to going back to Mac Jones, okay? And then my third trend is, and I might have a swag later, is you cannot use injuries as an excuse anymore. The Pittsburgh Steelers had 9 people out, including their entire secondary, including Minkah Fitzpatrick, and they played with their hearts out at home and beat a good Tampa Bay team. That's what I saw. When do you guys jump in?
Go for it, Hardline.
So my 3 takeaways is this is the Packers team that I told everybody that I thought was going to be this year. What an awful team. I don't think it's going to get any much better than what it is now. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to pull a Brett Favre, as I told you before, where I think at the end of the season, he's going to ask to leave. I don't think that they have anything worthwhile. He's getting towards the end of his career, and I think if he wants to leave, he's out. And look, the silver and black would be a perfect place for him to go. So, there's a lot of opportunity there. Second, you're right. Look, we talked about this earlier in the year when a lot of people were a little bit worried about the Patriots and what they were going to do. And I told you, knowing how good Bill Belichick is, he was going to make sure the offense was fine. He was going to make sure that they were going to work through it. That defense is very, very good. I think very underrated to a certain degree. And look, they're running the ball. That maybe Zappe's not the best thrower, but if you can run the ball, you can make some things happen. You play field position. The last thing that I'd say is I think, and I know a lot of people are probably not going to like this, I believe last year Tom should have called it quits. You could tell clearly on the field his personal life is starting to affect his play. That was probably the worst. The 2 last games that the Bucs played are probably the worst games I've seen Tom Brady play in a very long time. And there were a lot of throws yesterday that Tom easily would have made that he just didn't make. And it's not taking anything away from the Steelers, but you let Pickett and Mitch Trubisky beat you. A team that you are 12-3 against that you should have easily beaten. There's no reason why this should have happened. It's sad kind of to see Tom kind of decline in this way. Do I think the Bucs win the South? Maybe out of default, but because I just don't trust Dennis Allen down there in New Orleans because it's a shit show. But I think he's got to really hang it up. I don't think that this was the last hurrah that he had hoped for.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to go just the opposite. I think the Bucs have a chance to actually turn things around. It's going to take a little time. I agree with you, though. Brady doesn't look good, and Brady looks like he's really he's got other things on his mind. But I see the Bucs coming back because I don't see that division as being very good. The other thing I would say is, are the Broncos done? I mean, is it time to kind of, okay, they're not there, and Russell Wilson, I don't know. That they don't seem to be clicking when they should, even though their defense is actually really great. The Zappy thing, I tell you, I'm watching Zappy. I'm watching him play these games, and he knows how to step up into the pocket. A lot of rookies don't know how to do that. He knows how to step up into the pocket. He knows either how to run that offense. He learned really quickly. I'm really impressed with him, and I could see them staying with him and and not Mac Jones. I mean, if you go back to Bledsoe got hurt. This young kid by the name of Brady came in. Who's he? Oh, he went to Michigan. He hardly played at all. It wasn't that much, Never saw Drew Bledsoe again. So I'm thinking, I think you could be right. I like Zappy. I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, this could be part of it. That's for sure. So, all right, those are my trends there. And I'm glad I'm finally back here. And folks, just to let you know, we're Daily Fish coming to you from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. I'm John Daly. He's Eric Fish Snyder. And we have the hard line, John Hardison from the Cost of Winning podcast and all of his sports betting advice. We dive into bets that are going to be for this week coming up. And you got questions or comments, drop us a line in the chat box, or if you're not watching this live, you can email us at dailyfish1@gmail.com. All right, let's jump into a little college football. Fish, what are your trends that you're seeing in college football?
Well, first go back to Brady. Jeff Saturday said Peyton Manning would never go to someone's wedding and miss 2 walkthroughs. If it was his brother getting married, he said he'd have him change the wedding. All right, so hardline, you're right on with that. There was one. Now I've been bagging on college football, John Daly, to you personally, and on the show. This past weekend, take that all away. Tennessee, Alabama, USC, Utah. I'm texting hardline. Some of the greatest drama, some of the greatest games. I will take this out of college football. I'm predicting there's 7 quarterbacks are going to go in the first and second round from what I've seen, maybe more.
Wow.
One of you guys. Go ahead.
Go ahead, hardline.
You know what? Great weekend. Look, we talked about Tennessee a few weeks ago when we were talking about bets. Tennessee is a very good team, very solid team. They showed it on Saturday. There's one guy, especially to look out for. He rise very high in Heisman trophies, in the Heisman Trophy candidate role. And that's Hendon Hooker, the quarterback for Tennessee. And if Tennessee can win out and win that SEC, I mean, he's the front runner in my opinion. I mean, what a win to make a statement.
Excuse
I know people are saying,
excuse me, how can you not root for a hooker?
But look, I mean, CJ Stroud is the front runner right now, but that win against Alabama might, propel him forward. Look, there's a lot of good football being played. We talked about Toledo, and what a hell of a game Toledo played against Kent State. Real back and forth, high scoring game, really good to look at. And then the last game I'll talk about that I really enjoyed was sorry, I'm drawing a blank at the top of my head. UNLV actually playing Air Force. I mean, they lost, but it was a more competitive game than what I thought it was going to be with UNLV. They're 2 wins out of being bowl eligible this year, which is the first time, and I don't remember in the longest time. I think they're 4-2 right now. 2 more games puts them bowl eligible, so they got a shot at actually making the bowl game this year.
I went to the game. So they were down 42-7. That was well, they were horrible. Come on, man.
Air Force has their number, but look, I'll take that against a decent Air Force team, a team that's been running the Mountain West for the most part, than what we've seen before. Because I've seen it be a lot worse with UNLV over the past years than just that.
That you're right, my friend. They are if they get bowl eligible, that's great.
Yep. So I can't really add too much, but here's the thing, and Fish, you actually brought this up. Alabama could still lose another game. If they lose another game, should they be able to get into the college playoffs? Will that be an issue?
No, they shouldn't, but it's Alabama. I think, look at the SEC guys this year. Ole Miss, no one's talking about Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's team is 7-0. Georgia's great. There's a lot of teams that stink in that in the SEC, including Texas A&M, who's a 500 team that could upset you. Tennessee is a very good football team. The SEC is loaded. I'll take the SEC hardline. And you and I have gone back and forth on this against the Pac-12 anytime. USC is not that good. Everyone says SC's running the table. They're going to a playoff. They got their first game against a team that was ranked, and they lost.
That's right.
Okay. So I think Alabama with 2 losses, there could be – but you're going to have Michigan or Ohio State get one of those. Georgia. Clemson's going to go 1 loss. No. it's just Alabama's. Will politics take over? Is what you're asking, John Daly?
Yeah.
About that or what?
Yeah.
As far as Alabama, possibly. They're a huge draw. What do you think about that, Hardline?
No, I mean, look, 2 losses from Alabama doesn't necessarily knock them out. I mean, you're looking at a team that last year was in the championship game. I still think that they have one of the best programs out there. And you're right. Look, they travel. They have a big draw. It's nothing that would surprise me. The biggest team that I think is questionable, like you said, is SC. Where do we go? And look, they're not a shoe-in to win the Pac-12 this year because UCLA and Washington are looking damn good.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA, huge.
And now, here's the last time we said that.
Is there a chance in the Final Four we're going to have 3 SEC teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think, Daly? I mean, they'll have to play each other. Ole Miss is going to have to play Alabama. Georgia is going to be a great SEC championship game. I like the fact in 2 years are going to 8 teams. This conversation is moot. But for right now, politics will prevail in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But and we got to root for UCLA hardline because Dorian Thompson, what's his name? Dorian Thompson. He's one of the highest recruited guys. He's the highest recruited quarterback out of the state of Nevada. He went to Bishop Gorman High School here, Daly, and he's having a great year. He's third in the Heisman right now, behind Stroud and Bryce. And by the way, Bryce Young, the Raiders general manager, Dave Ziegler, has been down to scout him twice. When you're general manager, you have 17 scouts on your roster, on your team executives, Daly. When your general manager goes down to scout a guy, it's legitimate. Bryce Young is the best decision maker I've seen in college football since Andrew Luck.
Wow.
Interesting. Wow. All right. We're going to hit some of the college games when we do the hardline section. Let's talk a little bit about baseball because it's Tuesday, and tonight we've got the final game between the Yankees and the Guardians. What's the matter?
Also, the Phillies, because I can't process. He's laughing his ass off. He asked me, that handsome guy with the piano, Liberace Jr. over, asked me, what's more frustrating, the Dodgers or the Raiders? I said the Dodgers, because the Raiders this could be their 19th out of 21 losing seasons. We love the Raiders. Sorry, Gabe Arelis, but the Dodgers, it's the 9th straight time the Dodgers have been in the playoffs, and they've only won at one time. And I give Hardline credit. He called it on the show. They're going to find a way to lose. How the fuck does Dave Roberts pull Tim Anderson with a 2-hitter in the 5th? He did it with Kershaw in Game 4 against the Astros in 2017. By the way, Daly, he's getting piled on by the media in LA.
Oh my God!
I don't know if he survives it. He probably will. So that's all I got to say about baseball. I'm going to give you my predictions right now. I still think it's the Astros against either the Yankees or the Indians, Guardians, whatever. The Padres and Phillies. I'm going to go to Hardline on that one. I don't have a take on that. I want to hear his take. Go to Hardline.
So here's the thing. Watching. I'll get to it. So I told Daly, I said, watching the game 1 of the Padres versus the Mets when they played Scherzer, I said, I'm looking at a team that's dangerously confident right now, a team that I haven't seen before with this much swagger. I said, don't let them get hot because they could be it. And every Dodger fan I've talked to, oh, we're playing the Padres. Oh, we got nothing to worry about. Oh, we're going to take them down real quick. Look, a team that's dangerously confident and with swag, and they're doing it without their best player. They beat you without Tatis. That's the part that's crazy. There's a thing in this, once you get to the playoffs, where you have to be confident, you have to be sure of yourself. And I told you from the beginning of the season with the Dodgers, if it's too good to be true, they're going to screw it up. They're a team that it's a horse race with them. You try to fly to winning 100 wins, 110 wins, 105. We're setting all these records. The best teams find ways to rest their best players for when the players matter the most. Okay. I don't care about 110 wins. Give me 97, maybe even 100. But I'd rather rest my guys and have them ready to go for when the time matters than not. We talk about the COVID season all the time. What happened? Guys got rested. And look, they were able to produce at a high level when it matters. Look, I'm a diehard Yankees fan. Am I confident we're going to beat the Guardians? Not necessarily, because they've been running our numbers so far. But if we get through this, we still got to beat Houston, and Houston has our number. if I'm looking at the Padres Philly matchup, gosh, it's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if it went 7 games. Yeah. I'm going to give the edge to the Padres. I'm going to give the edge to the Padres. I think Blake is it Blake Snell? Blake Snell as the pitcher for the Padres. I think that's your X factor right there. I think that if he comes through and he wreaks havoc, they got a strong chance of pulling it out.
Okay, real quick, Jay, before you go, he brought up COVID. I don't want to bring up COVID, but in case it comes back, since I had tickets to the fucking NLCS, we can now use that. That's a mask. That's a mask that Hardline could use because COVID is a better chance of playing in the NLCS than the goddamn Dodgers. Look at that, baby. No, I'm not getting Dodger tickets. I'm hot. Sorry, Daly, but you got the Daly end on this one.
Yeah, I love it. So tonight, Guardians and Yankees. I got the Yankees at home winning that game. I think there's enough consternation that happened inside the Yankee clubhouse with what happened in Game 3 that helped them actually turn it around in Game 4. I think the Yankees I think they're going to be there. I think they're going to face the Astros, and I think the Astros will beat them. But at the same time, too, I love the Guardians. I like this team, but I think they're just too young. And I think what they've done is phenomenal so far this year. I still got the Yankees winning. Okay, tell me who's going to win, Hardline. What do you
got? For tonight's game, I'm going to take the Yankees. I think that they just have enough experience that gets them over the hump to win. And look, Aaron Boone's job is still kind of questionable. Look, he's been in this situation before. There's no guarantee. I think the only thing that saves him is making it to a World Series this year. Another ALCS won't do it. My prediction moving forward, I'll probably take the Astros and I'll take the Padres. I'll take the Astros, Padres in the World Series.
Okay. Fish? Hit us with that on tonight's game.
Hardline, man. Hardline's back to 68 to 69%. 69 is his favorite number. So I'm going with Hardline. I'm rooting for Cleveland because of Vicky's family and Terry and Sarah, but I think the Yankees have to. I'm with you guys. Astros and the Padres. I like the Astros winning the World Series.
Yeah, I think I like the Padres just edging out. I think it's going to be a great series. Padres and Phillies is going to be a really, really good series. I like the way both teams have lined up and have gotten together as far as getting themselves down the stretch and ready for it. All right, NBA starts tonight as well. Looking forward to that. So, Fish, give us your takes. Who do you see?
The price is plus 600 Hardline on these teams. Okay, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Clippers, and the Golden State Warriors. I see that. Okay, I see the plus 600. Now the 10-1s are the Brooklyn Nets, the Utah Jazz. I don't know about that. They just lost Patrick Beverley. I love that. I'm going to ask you about that later on in Hardline, about him going to the Lakers, okay? And the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, we'll talk about trades. I'm going to give you real quick my synopsis of the NBA. I love Giannis. I have to make a poo-poo. I've never pronounced his last name. All right. It's my favorite player. You know what Giannis reminds me of? Harlan will tell you this, Daly, because he knows the NBA better than anyone I've ever known. There are players that are transitional in the game that make the game to another generation. Shaq was the first guy I saw that could play the one as a point, get the rebound, dribble down, cross over, hit a three. He did it a few times. Giannis is the next guy to do that. And I think his injuries last year. So my prediction for the NBA Finals, until you beat the Golden State Warriors, and Steph Curry, according to Michael Jordan, was put on this earth to hit threes, I got the Golden State Warriors and the Milwaukee Bucks in the finals. And bring it on.
Go ahead, Hardline.
So the finals this year, you know what? I'll take. It's hard to go back, but I'll take Golden State in the West. That division, even though Phoenix is a great team, we're getting back Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. There's still questions about Kawhi Leonard's knee. Where we're going, they said he's looking a lot better than he has in the previous years, and that's definitely an X factor. I see Golden State. I probably in the Western Conference Finals. I could see Golden State and the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. In terms of the Lakers, their payroll is so all over the place. They have so many issues in terms of the cap. They're going to have to get rid of someone. Russell Westbrook looks disinterested. And Pat Beverly has definitely stepped up as a leader. Anthony Davis, what are you going to get out of him in terms of, as Charles Barkley calls him, Anthony Street Clothes, because he's always injured. He barely is able to keep pushing through. He's always injured. But you know what? I could see it overall. I could see Golden State, Milwaukee, in the NBA Finals this year. I think that Boston takes a step back. I think that they got a lot of issues in terms of everything that happened with Udoka, in terms maybe of chemistry. And look, you got a brand new head coach coming in, even though he was assistant. It doesn't mean that he necessarily is going to run things the same way as Udoka. So we have to see. I do see Brooklyn. Brooklyn could possibly make the Eastern Conference Finals. But the one team I think that it's a make or break year and they have to make the Eastern Conference Finals this year are the 76ers, because if they don't make it this year, you really have to start questioning, do you break up this team? Do you break it up? Do you just say, you know what, we start from scratch to a certain degree? Maybe Doc Rivers gets replaced because there's a lot of pressure on him to actually step up and go from there. And so we'll see. There's a lot of questions that goes. The biggest prop that I got in terms of overall win total, I got the Brooklyn Nets winning. The Brooklyn Nets winning under 50.5 games. I just think that at some point someone's going to get injured. I think that Kevin Durant's going to get injured at some point. I have very little faith in Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons is coming back from a messed up back. Like, it's 50 wins because the way the roster looks on paper seems plausible, but I think they probably get at like 48.
So you would take the under. Okay. All right, cool. Any other quick prop bets?
Yeah. So I'd like the Kings to win 35 games at -105. They haven't won 35 games in 5 years. Everything's been less than that. They've been pretty terrible. And you know what? The most improved player. So Anthony Edwards is leading the way right now at plus 850. But I would put money on Zion Williamson. I mean, he looks good. Look, people say that, bullying people online is wrong, but by God, people bullied the hell out of that boy into getting back into shape. I mean, he looks like a brand new man out there playing. Look, he dropped weight. He looks healthier. Looks like they got him with a nutritionist. David Griffin has really put his magic there, especially making trades. I would not be surprised if Zion Williamson possibly wins Most Improved Player of the Year.
Yep, I got it. All right, real quick, because we're going to go on to memes. So I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Phoenix Suns in the finals. And of course, we're not going to know this until we get to the playoffs. So, because you can have a great season and then you get into the playoffs and you're the best team in NBA and you lose that opening playoff game. So the opening playoff series. So, all right, time for some memes. Fish, what do you got for?
If I have the finger up, this is breaking news. The Lakers are on the verge of trading Westbrook to the Bulls for DeRozan and Caruso. I love that trade.
Wow.
Wow. That's from ESPN. So, we'll see that plays out. That could happen by the end of the day. But he just heard this gentleman say that Westbrook's a shit show. So that would help the Lakers out. I got some memes for us, guys. Look, we talked about baseball, and the Mets have a new prospect coming out, and I love it. I will buy season tickets to the Mets to watch this. Happy Ireland. Oh my God. Look at that.
Wow.
Wow. You think those kids have erections in the background? Because I would. Anyways, that's me. All right. We bag on how bad primetime football's been, but it's really been bad on Thursday night football. And we can tell you by the models that are showing that. Look at the model for Thursday night. Sunday night's been good. Monday night's a little bit better. All right. So, I learned how to read by this magazine. I want to thank Hugh Hefner, and I want to thank who's the guy that did Penthouse? I forgot his name. Now look at what was Daly? Look at it. Sinatra speaks his mind. The Chicks of Cleopatra, and look at the subliminal stuff in that glass. I never read any of those articles because the only article I cared about was the pictures in the middle. Yeah, the Miller and Buckley debate the American right wing. Actually, you know what, Hardline? Ask Daly. Playboy magazine had the greatest NFL predictions and NBA stuff. They had great sports predictions. Good thing. This has really happened. This is in Boise, Idaho. Read this. For our listeners, try the new anus pounder. I mean, talk about a kid that's high, that's probably just effing with the manager. For our listening audience, there's a McDonald's marquee. Try the new anus pounder. Now, if I was to tell you last week, so I'm still not processing the Dodgers losing and the Raiders-Chiefs game is giving me agita like you not. But when you see this. Travis Kelce, like if I told John Daly and Hardison, oh my God, Travis Kelce only had 25 yards on 7 catches. This is what really happened. Look at that tea bag right there. That's Travis Kelce with the tea bag on top of that pit bull that says the Raiders. We can't beat that guy. It's horrible. That's my memes, guys. Happy Victory Tuesday.
All right, perfect. All right, folks, thanks for joining us here. Again, we talk sports, entertainment, politics, everything in between, just like you do. No woke, no extreme, no social justice cops. We examine all sides. We let the threes fly, as you saw. We aim for the upper deck. Again, questions, drop them in the chat box, or if you want to mail us, it's dalyfish1@gmail.com.
The anus pounder. Sorry.
All right, time now for our schmuck of the week. Who's been schmucky this week, Fish?
This is really bad. You know, it's one thing to develop your brand. That's a new word terminology. Develop your brand, entitlement, millennials, shit we never heard about when we were younger. Your schmuck of the week is this. It's a company called Etsy, ETSY. Believe it or not, they had to take these off. Look at these T-shirts that they printed out. This is Jeffrey Dahmer's and Pew Silver. No, Chef Boyardee. Choke me like that. I don't think it's funny. Choke me like Bundy and eat me like Dahmer. Because what if you're a family member? You know, wow. And it's just. And look at this next T-shirt. I mean, and they're selling these T-shirts like crazy. Are we that sick that we're? Wow. I eat guys like you for breakfast. That's bullshit. You know, there's a movie that came out called Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis years ago about these 2 serial killers that the world loved because they were like pop stars. I'm not buying it. To me, Etsy's probably a great company. Get rid of those fucking T-shirts.
Yep, I'd agree with you. All right, let's see and celebrate who has the swag this week. Fish, who are we celebrating here?
So Belichick just passed Cody Lambeau, and he's about 60 wins behind Don Shula. But to me, a guy that's up there, and he's my favorite coach in the league, is this guy. I'll tell you why. That's Mike Tomlin, who's the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. When I hear people get on me and they text me and I go on these blogs and I go on these local shows here and injuries. His entire fucking secondary was out against Tampa. I said it earlier. TJ Watt's out. 2 offensive linemen is out. Kenny Pickett goes out and Trubisky's in and he beats Tampa. Not only is he a great coach, but he mentored a guy, rest in peace, named Dwayne Haskins, who had a lot of personal problems with at the time, the Redskins, right? And he got that kid in the right track, and unfortunately, his life ended prematurely. Tomlin's a great man. He's a great coach. He's a great mentor to young kids, and he deserves to be named as one of the top head football coaches in pro football of all time. I have him in my top 5. Swag, huge swag for that guy.
I agree.
I don't know about him. I don't think he's ever had a losing season, Hardline. You would know that. This might be the first one.
No, he hasn't.
Right. Yeah. All right. Now we have our drink of the week. Fish, what are we toasting?
Well, I'll tell you what. I decided to go with the mimosa because we're doing a morning show. And nothing's better than a little champagne and orange juice put together. And the 2 biggest drinks at Chuck's Tavern in the morning are obviously a Bloody Mary and a mimosa. So we have a big sports day coming up. We got 2 playoff games, baby. So we're drinking they get the Yankee game. Yankee game starts at 1 o'clock our time. So you got an afternoon game and then the Phillies and Padres tonight. So I'm drinking I'm drinking to Mike Tomlin. I mean, I'm not a Steeler fan. I'm a Raider fan. My wife's a huge Steelers fan. But I can appreciate when a person is so good in the community, so good with young people, and he's a winner.
Yep. Good guy, too. All right, to Mike Tomlin. All right, here we go. Hey, the Daily Fish Drink of the Week is sponsored by Shucks Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks in 2 locations. Head to the Shucks Tavern on North Durango on the northwest side of town where, guess what? Fish is there. He's there overnight. Say Daily Fish Podcast, you get a free drink. Do it the next day, a free appetizer. That's Shucks Tavern. Check out Shucks Tavern on Facebook as well. And folks, we are live on Daily Fish at daily.fish.5, usually on Mondays at 6 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Pacific. But today's Tuesday. We had to do a little early. I had some changes in our schedule. And again, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, and Amazon. You can watch us on Facebook at Myrtle Beach Golf Channel, Myrtle Beach Grand Strand Life. You can check us out on Daily Fish on YouTube and also Wingding TV, and check out our post and news updates on Twitter as well. And don't forget, Hey Vegas TV. Go to heyvegastv.com. All right, let's get some bets from the Daily Fish Hardlines. He has the podcast, The Cost of Winning, as we told you about before, focusing on fantasy sports and sports betting. He's on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts as well. All right, Hardline, what do you got? What are you looking at this week as far as the NFL? Give us a good game right off the top.
So let's start with the Colts and Titans. I'm going to go with the over 42.5. Who would have thought last week Matt Ryan would throw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns? I think, you know, with you got it right.
He's done it before.
He's done it before, but it's been a while. You know, without Jonathan Taylor, I think they have to push the ball a little bit more. They were more aggressive on offense than I've seen them before play. They're playing a Titans team that's kind of middle of the road. They're not necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily that great. It's a divisional game. And look, the Colts have a decent defense, but I don't know if they necessarily have an answer for Derrick Henry. I'm going to go with the over 42.5 at -108, but I think it'll be a semi-close game.
All right. I just want to go over and under one thing. I say over 5 coaches get let go. We always just saw Matt Rule go, and they said that Ron Rivera's on the team. Over under 5 coaches get let go at the end of the year. I say over. What about you?
I'll go over. I'll go over. I think there's a lot of teams that possibly want to rebuild. 3 off the top of my head. We saw Matt Rule, Ron Rivera's on the hot seat. Cliff Kingsbury's on the hot seat as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 3 right there that we don't know. I'm not necessarily sold on Nathaniel Hackett because I've seen teams, as we just talked about the Cardinals, switch head coaches after a year. So that's possible as well. So that's at least 4 off the top, and we don't know. Maybe there's another one coming up.
I'll give you 2 more. I hate to say it to you. Dan Campbell only has a 3-year contract. If the Lions only win 3 or 4 games, he's gone. Mike McCarthy's on the short leash. I know we all know that Dallas loves Sean Payton.
Yeah.
He already said I want to come back. So
Yeah.
I think it's over 5.
Okay, let me ask you this before we move on. Do you think that McCarthy goes before Dennis Allen? If Sean Payton says I want to get back in the game because they still own his rights down there in New Orleans, do you think that, hey, you know, the New Orleans pull the trigger and say, Dennis, either you go back to being DC or you're out?
Good question. I think that Sean Payton goes to Dallas or bust. He wants that market. No, Dallas is now the 3rd biggest city in the United States. Overtook Chicago, so it's a big market. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Sometimes you run your run. He ran, what was he, 10 years with New Orleans? Dennis Allen will get a 2nd year, so that point is moved. But no, Sean Payton's going to come back to the Dallas Cowboys or stay back with Fox.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this: how many coaches are gone before mid-season? Do you see any more coming up over the next 3 weeks?
I do.
I don't think right now. I don't think right now mid-season you're going to see. You might see 1, but I don't think so. And especially, I know we talked about Rivera being on the hot seat. I think he gets a little bit more leeway, especially because Wentz with that finger. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. So I think that buys him some time. Kingsbury might be the other one that might be the one that goes, but because they traded for Robbie Anderson, I think they're a little bit more committed to his system, at least until the end of the season.
Okay. All right. Texans and the Raiders this weekend. What are you looking at that? And Fish, I'm going to ask you later too, but what do you got, Hardline?
You know what? I'm going to take the Texans +7. This is a team that for some reason they play the Raiders pretty well in the past. Lovie Smith is a pretty good head coach for this team. I think he goes a little underrated because of where he's playing in the team, but they get turnovers. I mean, that's something that goes unknown is they get turnovers compared to the Raiders. The Raiders don't really get that many turnovers, but look, the Raiders this year have a good run defense as well. I mean, that's something that kind of goes underrated in terms of them. I think the Texans keep it close. I think the Texans are able to cover that 7.
Well, Fish, what are you thinking?
I think the Raiders blow them out. And just came out today that the NFL will not discipline Devontae Adams until his hearing November 17th. So we're guaranteed another 4 games. The Raiders have to have a statement game. The Raiders are number 2 in the league in rushing. Houston's number 31 in rushing defense. That's how we win this game. And you have to make a statement game. You have to come out and win a game. I think the Raiders cover. I think they win. I'm going to try and convince Mr. Daly because we're still alive and last man standing. And someone isn't. So I like the Raiders. I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. If the Raiders lose this game at home at Allegiant, I know the Raiders watch us. this could snowball into them winning a 2 or 3 win season, and McDaniels could be out after 1 year. I don't know if Davis could save that. What do you think about that one, Hardline? Do you agree with me on that?
No, I think
different snowball.
I think Josh keeps his job. I think he keeps his job. I think there's certain things that he's put into place that's been better. And look, the biggest thing that we've noticed over the last 3 weeks, and I've told you, they've taken the ball out of Derek Carr's hands and they put it in Josh Jacobs, and they've been a lot more competitive than what they have been at the start of the season. I do think that, look, they need to win. Do I think that it snowballs into a 2-3 win season? It's possible. I mean, if people start giving up. Do I think that they're giving up necessarily now? No. The biggest question is the biggest question I have is, and Fish, you would know because I haven't really looked today, is what's the status on Darren Waller? Because Darren Waller didn't really play or if he didn't play at all when they played the Chiefs.
He's getting shit because if you know his Twitter, he was at every Padre game on the field. And, I don't know what the protocol is for guys on a bye week to be in the facility getting treatment. But, I don't know. I'm concerned about Darren Waller, but I mean, as far as the Raiders go, I see a big performance on both. They're that close. They lost 4 games by 14 points combined. I scratch. Do you ever do this, Daly? You ever watch a team like you have a team like the Giants, and you wonder how the fuck did they lose to that? How did the Raiders lose to Arizona?
Yeah.
Arizona put 3 points on the board against a 31st ranked defense in the Seattle Seahawks. But the Raiders, real quick, the Raiders' next 4 games, I think are all winnable, guys. They got the Texans, they got Jacksonville 2-4, they got Seattle, that'll be a tough game, and they got the Saints. Then they got Denver there. So you want to get back into this. I think Pro Football Focus has the Raiders favored in all those games, and they're 1-4. If they lose to Houston, though, I know this team, it's going to resonate. They're going to say, you know what? They're our guys, but they're not quitting. They're not quitting for this.
But they're not quitting. But look, that's where the +7 comes into play. Like they should have beaten Arizona. Look what happened. They should have beaten Tennessee. Look what happened. There's a question of, especially in this game, I'll say this right now: if Josh Jacobs gets the ball 20 times or more, they'll dominate the line of scrimmage. They'll win. If you put the ball in Derek Carr's hands and he tries to come out and he tries to show people, hey, I can really spin it, the Texans will probably win this damn game.
Hey, can I ask you guys one more thing? I'll be quick on this. We have to move on. How come there's no shit going John Harbaugh's way? They've been up by 10 points in their last 3 losses with 5 minutes to go and have found a way to blow it. Okay, yep. They're 35-14 hardline on the Dolphins in week 2 with 7 minutes to go in Baltimore and blew it. And Lamar's throwing picks left and right. Aaron Judge bet on himself, and he's going to win. Lamar's going to get that contract, but if this continues, I don't think he's going to get a contract from the Baltimore Ravens. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, look, it is a question, but as we've said before in the past, it's hard to find good, steady quarterback play. If you don't sign Lamar, what's your options? You're going to let Lamar Jackson with all that talent walk away for what? That's the thing.
I don't know. There's 7 or 8 rookies that I'm telling you, there's 4 rookies are going to roll in there like Joe Burrow did in his first year. I'm telling you, I'm guaranteeing this. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson in the first year, Justin Herbert, and Mahomes. These guys all played great when they got that ball. Not this last rookie class. We talked about that with Lawrence and Lance and Justin Fields and Mac Jones. They some of these guys can't get on the field. So let's move on. But I just got me on a tangent of that. Go.
Well, that's good. Speaking of the Browns speaking of the Ravens, they play the Browns this week. Hardline, what do you got on this one?
I call this the game of New Cleveland versus Old Cleveland because, we'll see. I'll take the Browns +6.5. They play the Ravens very close. It's never really a big blowout game between the both of them going back and forth. Actually, as much as we talk about Lamar Jackson, he struggles versus Cleveland. The last 3 games, he struggled mightily. Yeah. One game, he threw 4 picks and 1 touchdown. The other game was a backup quarterback. So I don't think you're going to see Lamar Jackson really go off on Cleveland like he has on some other teams. I'll take the Browns +6.5. And, look, even though the Browns struggled a little bit against the Patriots, Jacoby wasn't bad. The biggest X factor of the Browns, which I haven't seen this year versus previous years, you got to get Nick Chubb going. You got to get Nick Chubb grinding and pounding. That's the bread and butter with Cleveland right now. I know they're just trying to kind of keep even keel until Watson gets back from that suspension. I know there's some other, allegations that have come up as well. It doesn't look like, they're going to tack on additional time for anything that's going on. But I think if you could get to week 11, you could kind of keep even keel. That's the idea. But the one question I have for you, Daly, and I know, the trade deadline's coming up. What are they going to do with Kareem Hunt? Because they haven't been using him. I know that he asked for a trade at the beginning of the year. Are you guys not using him because you're trying to keep him healthy for trade purposes? Or what's the mindset in Cleveland that you think?
I think that it's a really good question. I think, and again, I think the Browns are kind of like what Fish was talking about the Raiders. The Browns could be on a spiral going down. And I thought the game last week against New England kind of showed that. And you're right. They couldn't get Chubb going. And then, they lost 38-15 or something like that. And the game was actually not that far apart. So I think, yes, I think if they continue to lose, I think you'll start seeing some midseason trade. And I could see Hunt going very easily. Yeah.
You want to make a wager bet on that, Hardline? Let's bet $25-$50. I bet you that the Baltimore Ravens win by more than 6.5. It's in Baltimore. Jacoby Brissett, the Browns are horrible right now. Horrible. I watched that game, against New England, and they're 2-4, and they got Baltimore. They got some tough. They're at Baltimore, at Cincinnati. They're going to be 2-6. I think Cincinnati beats them also, and then by the time and they got some other tough games that are coming up. I looked at the schedule. They got some tough games. They could possibly 3-7 or 3-8 by the time Deshaun gets in. Then it's over. Who cares? His 5 games are big deal. They might even play him. They said, we don't want to get you injured. So we'll see. Move on.
All right, let's go to college football. UCLA, Oregon. Okay, what do you got in that one, Hardline?
UCLA, what a heck of a story this year. Chip Kelly has been playing. Last year, we saw some sparks last year. But this year, they could honestly win the Pac-12. When was the last time we said that UCLA had a fighting chance of winning the Pac-12? They play Oregon. They usually put up a fireworks show. 69.5 is a lot of points. I'm going to go under. I think it gets close to that 69.5 mark, but I don't think that it goes over that. I think that hook is what's going to get some people. I take UCLA, Oregon under this game.
If UCLA wins that game, Daly, there'll be a lot of 60-90 in Westwood. I guarantee you. That means they're 7-0. They got Cal, Stanford, and Oregon State. Could you imagine if SC and UCLA play for the championship? That'd be great for the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That'd be good for LA.
Well, it'd be good for the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's funny. Good call.
All right, BC Wake Forest. Who do you got?
You know what? BC Wake Forest. Wake Forest is actually having a really good season. They've kind of been flying under the radar, but Boston College kind of has Wake Forest's number. They keep it close. It's never a blowout game. I know they're giving Boston College plus 21. I'll take Boston College plus 21 at minus 105. I think that they keep it closer than what a lot of people think this year compared to last.
All right. How about Cincy SMU?
So, since he's coming off the college football playoffs last year, they're not bad. Luke Fickell, what a heck of a job that he's doing. At some point, since he's going to have to, and I don't know off the top of my head if they discussed it, they're going to have to leave. They're going to have to leave that conference. They're getting too good, kind of like Utah when they were in the Mountain West. But, SMU, I know they had a close game against Navy last week. They ended up pulling it out. But I think since he's a better team, I take Cincy minus 3.
All right. And you got some prop bet possibility for the Heisman Trophy already. What are you thinking?
Yeah. Like we talked about, Hendon Hooker. What a game that he put on at Tennessee. They didn't back down for the challenge against Alabama. I think that he's right up there. It's him, CJ Stroud, and probably Bryce Young are the top 3 right now. As we talked about with the Heisman, it's basically who's the best quarterback instead of who's the best college football player. And I think that, if he keeps it up and they make it to the SEC championship game, he's the front runner, honestly.
I can't download. I just saw a meme that said, "Give me a hooker for the Heisman," and it's got a beautiful body like Kathy Ireland with his face on it. Wow, that's good. You know, a lot of play on that.
All right, cool. And that is the Daily Fish Hardline with John Hardison, the Cost of Winning podcast. You can find him here also on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcast. Hardline, I heard you got to take off. You got some important business to do, right?
I got some important business to do and some people to see. I got a game with Darren Waller down in San Diego.
There you go. All right, cool. All right, Hardline. We will we'll catch you next week, and much appreciated. And we will carry on with your spirit as well.
Take care, guys.
All right, cool. And also, I just want to tell you about the One Glove. You get a grip on your golf game with this new revolutionary new golf glove. It's called the One Glove. Notice the finger it covers fish, right? And long drive competitors are actually using this. You get a better feel for the grip. Plus, you don't have to take it off when you're chipping and putting. You can wash it. It lasts 3 times longer than a regular golf glove. Plus, women golfers love it because they can wear their rings. They won't hurt their nails. You can get the One Glove. All you have to do is go to theoneglovegolf.com, put in the code DailyFish. You get a deal on it. That's the onegolfglove.com promo DailyFish. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit here about some politics. Fish, you had some concerns. You've been talking about China quite a bit. You've been bringing that up. What's your concern there?
I'm always intrigued with China because of I think this is a country that 60 years ago you think of them in the fields of rice with the hats on, and then here comes Hong Kong and its development in Beijing and Shanghai, and it goes from basically a country of communism that had a third world stature economically to this megapolis of politics and commerce. Yet they're accused a lot of issues of not really handling people right. And I heard their president Xi, did I pronounce his name?
Yep, Xi Jinping.
I watched this 2-hour press conference, and he's a scary type of leader that's brilliant, intelligent, sense of humor, says scary things, and he's not a bully. I worry about him more than I worry about Putin. Okay. He says, I'll do what I want to do. We'll do what we want to do with Taiwan and bring it on. I got news for America. We cannot take them. Okay. The Russians have proven how futile they are in Ukraine. I'll go to you on that. And they're losing. You know, the Russians are pulling people off the streets. I heard both Fox and CNN are friends. You're walking down the street, your girlfriend, you're in the war. It done in movies, you know. Yeah. China's a scary, scary, scary opposition, and I just don't know. And I'm going to get those to you right now. Why they would team up with Russia in this Ukrainian conflict when we supply so much trade with them? We're in debt to them, and we provide more of an economic partner with them than Russia does. So I'll throw that to you.
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, because they're not America. So they're actually, they've changed really from about 10, 15 years ago. China was going to be our trading partner. And they've gone to a very nationalistic way of thinking. And what's amazing about it, in fact, if you get a chance, The Economist, the magazine, it's the British magazine, they have an 8 to 9 parts podcast series on Xi Jinping. It's called The Prince, and it is phenomenal. And you really understand where this guy's coming from. He actually, when the Communist Party was getting rid of people, they got rid of his father. They actually jailed him for 9 years, and they were thrown into seclusion. He actually stayed in with the party and rose to power. And his rise to power is absolutely an incredible story, and where he is the way he is. And his whole thing is it's controlling the party, and it's letting the party control everything. So that's what they're into now. Their big thing is, and then a lot of people say that this is going to hurt China in the long run. Their thing is they want to control as much of the world economy, especially resources. And that's why they're clamping down on Hong Kong. I've been to Hong Kong a number of times. I'll never go back to Hong Kong. Hong Kong was one of the greatest places. Now it's like, I think if I walked in, they'd probably arrest me being an American. Taiwan is going to be scary. But, you know, what we're seeing now is that China is siding with Russia because it's not America. So they want to have this bifurcated economy and society and world. And it's definitely, you're right. It's going to be us against China. And I think China is more scary. They are creating more technology, especially military technology, that we've got to stand up to. And, you know, the question is, what if he does go into Taiwan? What do we do? You know, technically, we don't have what I would, you know, they're not NATO. So we don't have a responsibility to do that. On the other hand, you know, they have a lot of semiconductors. But here's what they're also doing. You know, we're building a lot of semiconductor plants now. We're trying to get a lot of that so we can take it away. I think the big thing it's going to be is there is a chance there could be war. There could be stuff going on, China against America, or whoever's going to line up on our sides. what Pacific countries are going to line up with us. I think most of them will, to be honest with you. But here's the other thing too, is that, we relied on them for cheap labor. So what we're going to be seeing, I think, over the next 5 to 10 years is a lot of higher prices, because we've got to produce our own stuff, or other countries that can't produce them as cheaply, or using slave labor to do them as well. So you're right. You're right to be concerned about this. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be some big changes. I think it could hurt China. I think Xi could hurt China in the long run, because I think there's a lot of Chinese people that really, they loved in the 2010 that era there, where their economy thrived, and they were getting millionaires. They were creating some great companies. They were working with Americans. You saw that here. I think that's going to change, and I think that's going to hurt them in the long run. Go for it.
No, you said your piece. It's concerned. I like watching other world leaders and how they handle things, and how other countries go. Another thing I want to talk about world leaders is we tend, no matter what party you are, I need everyone from the Marcus Mosers, who's a big fan of the show, to my family, to know that I hate politicians. I hate them. I can't stand any of them. None of them. Because you all do the same thing. If you hated Trump when Trump was president, you said he's bending reality and he's making things up. You have to fact check him. Okay. Well, and I like President Biden as a person. I think President Biden's a good quarterback with a lousy offensive line, if I had to give an analogy. All right. The people around him. You can't make a statement that on national, when you're interviewed, that California's always been at $7 a gallon for gas, when they haven't. When you took over, they were $3.21. You're going to get fact checked in everything you say. I get people, I'm wrong a lot. I get fact checked, and I'll admit it. I'm wrong. Okay. Don't say things, if you're a politician, just because you want to keep people from being scared. We're not that stupid as a people. Maybe some of us are, but with the midterms coming up, this is how I would handle it. Say, hey, right now I'm here to fix what's wrong. Maybe I can fix some of it. Maybe I can't, but at least I'm trying. Okay. That shuts everyone up. No one does that. Everyone blames everybody else. No one's accountable. It's the same thing in life. It's true. There's no one accountable. No one takes any accountability for their actions. You can't say that. You can't hold an ice cream cone and say the economy is thriving right now. It's not. It's not thriving here in Las Vegas. I'll tell you that. We're losing money. Prices are going up. All right. People aren't coming here in their cars from California because it is $7 a gallon, and it costs a shitload of money to drive up here. A lot of this is not our government's fault, but you look to your government to fix things when it's on your watch, and I'll argue that with anybody.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that. I think also, what Biden said when saying that was, it's like, don't say that. I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing to be saying. On the other hand, I think, your statement about, we're not that stupid. We are that stupid. Unfortunately, I think the majority of Americans are, have about a fifth grade mentality. They don't understand the economy. They think that Biden can do stuff to completely drop the price of gas. There's no way he can. We don't control that. Now, unless he forced people in North Dakota to start, doing more fracking. So we get that. So the supply and demand, it's just when you lower the supply and there's demand, price is going to go up. And the more supply you put in there, price goes down. I think that we have to wake up to what the reality is, especially over the next, I'm going to say the next 5 or 6 months. We are headed into a recession. Is it going to be a brutal recession? Is it going to be 2010? No, it's not. But at the same time, too, people are going to be hurting, and we've got to get through that. The thing is that, you're supposed to have a recession once every 7 years. We haven't had a recession for a long time. And I think one of the things you're going to see is people are going to be having a tough time through this winter. You've got the war in Ukraine. You got China, stepping up over there, not helping in any other way. You've got Saudi Arabia stopping oil production. So these people are making money. They're taking advantage of it. And we don't have a lot of control anymore because a lot of Americans don't want us to get into wars. So we're not flexing our muscles by any means. So it's yeah, it's a tough time. But I think did Biden say something stupid? Yeah, he did say something stupid. But can he turn around and change it? No, he can't. This is something it takes a long time. This has been a long time coming.
It doesn't mean he's not trying, though. He's trying.
No.
I think he's trying. I don't know. I don't know if the vice president and other people in his cabinet are as competent as you need. What made President Reagan a great president is he had a great offensive line, people around him. All right,
Yeah.
and you can see President Bush Jr. did not have the right people with Don Cheney, with Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, who gave him some awful advice. I don't think President Bush Jr. was a bad guy, but his second term was a disaster. Okay, you need good people around you in anything you do, business wise or politics, to help you get through the business side. Running the country is a business. You're a business manager. That's what I'll say. John, I'm binge watching a lot right now. We don't talk about binge watching. I'm binge watching House of Dragons, which is a prequel to Game of Thrones. And I like it. I don't love it. But what I love is David Hollander, who did a show called Ray Donovan. Remember Ray Donovan with Lee Schreiber, a big show on Showtime? He's now done that. He's taken the movie American Gigolo with Richard Gere, made it into a series with John Bernthal. Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah. Are you watching it?
I haven't watched it yet, but I was intrigued.
He's a great actor. But Rosie O'Donnell is so good as a police detective. So believable, and her character is great. And I'm a big crush on Gretchen Mol. She's on the what's it called when you get a hall pass list. So it's great. So I'm binge watching a couple of things there. But for sports fans, please go to Hulu and watch Legacy about the Lakers from 1979 to the present. You'll learn stuff about this team told by the Buss family, all the kids, and the struggle after Jerry Buss died, how they can't stand each other, and it's told by the Buss family. It's terrific. Are you watching anything?
I'm not. I'm doing more reading based on what's been going on nationally and internationally, and I'm reading the book by and I'm drawing a blank on the title, but it's the book that was just out, very controversial. It's called Confidence Man, and it's by the New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman. And it's a fascinating book, and a lot of people who are pro-Trump probably won't like it, but she goes back into the history of Trump all the way back, back into the 60s and 70s of the family, and it's fascinating to watch that and again I listened to it on tape, and it's on Audible. But it's a fascinating book. I'm just into when he's getting into the presidency, and again, it's not flattering at all for Trump in any stretch of the imagination. But I'm reading that, and then I'm about to watch a show called it's a Netflix series called Sour Grapes, and it's about a young kid in his 20s who created all this fake wine and got all these wealthy people to take it all in, and he made millions off of it. And one of the Koch brothers was one of the victims of it, and the Koch brothers actually went in to take this kid down, and it's supposed to be a fascinating series on what goes on with big money and all that. So that's one of the ones I'm going to be watching soon.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Do you ever watch a show that has butt plugs and orgies and says the fuck word and all that kind of stuff that's real life? Or are you more the Leave It to Beaver type guy? Do you still have milk when you have dinner? You look like America's guy right there. When you look at a encyclopedia, what's an American look like? This is the guy right here, John Daly. Next to Heather Locklear. I mean, I've never seen you binge watch a show where you said, you know what? I was watching this show and they were giving blowjobs and hand jobs to everyone that walked down the street, and vampires are then sucking them up. I mean, I've never seen you say that, and that's good. That shows a dichotomy. Me being the beast and you being the beauty.
I would say that the last show that was like that was called The Tudors, which was about the Brit, and that was, oh my God, no, that was
I watched it. House of Dragons, great. You got incest and orgies together, and that happened back then. I wish I could live back then. On that note, on incest and orgies in the baseball playoffs, and getting a big Raider win from Hardline. Take us out, baby.
We're gonna do it. All right, buddy. Hey,
thanks, everybody.
We are Daily Fish, coming to you from Myrtle Beach, and Las Vegas. You can watch us and listen to us on so many different things. Again, we are on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, and Amazon. And we're going to also have some celebrity interviews coming up. If you need to write to us, please do. It's dailyfish1 at gmail.com. All right, buddy. We pulled out a good one, even though we had to go on a different day.
Right. Hey, prayers for people in our family and undercover jet setter. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely.